Welcome into episode 43 of JD's Empire Sports Talk. Of course, JD here with you once again. I remember I said last week we'll have just one episode this week and next week before the big episode 45, which I can now obviously talk about in length because it's not a surprise anymore. But Jake Mills from TJ Productions, he'll be teaming up with us to put out a good sports show. It'll be live. It's not a certain time, really. We're leaning more so for Mondays, but it could be a certain time, certain day. It'll change by the week, just of important sports news and stuff like that. But definitely the first week of June, and then obviously from there on out, we'll have that once a week. Plus these little episodes just to talk about like personal, of course, like personal sports teams, of course, because obviously in a full episode like that, I'm not going to sit there and talk about the Mets or the Knicks for an hour and a half. There's other things to talk about, but that'll be what these other little episodes are for. And today we'll have the Mets and Knicks. The only Jets news I have, but before I'll talk about them quick. But I just want to remind everyone that those the episode starting with episode 45, that will be live on YouTube, so everyone could comment, do all that. We want to hear the feedback as well as we're going on with the show. If you say something and you think we're crazy, come at us with it. We want to see what you have to say. We're gonna appreciate the comments, and I'll tell you, it'll be a lot of fun doing it with Jake. You can tell type of personality he is with mine, and it's going to mesh well. And I think that over time it'll get even better. But yeah, this is pretty much just you would be live on YouTube. I think we're trying to get it live on Instagram as well. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that, but if so, that'll be the case. So maybe if someone can't get to YouTube, they can go on Instagram at least and watch it, and it'll be fun. But it'll be like a 2 hour show, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, just based off how much we have to talk depending on what's going on. I know the first week of June will be the beginning of the NBA Finals, so that'll be very important to talk about. Especially if the Knicks are in it, that'll be great for me. But just overall in general, the NBA Finals will definitely be talked about and a lot of other stuff. But so today it'll be episode 43. Next week, episode 44 with CT. I'll probably have him talk a little basketball as well because he is a big NBA fan as a whole, and just want to hear his take on what we'll see what the playoff series are at by next week. I think next Thursday he's coming on, but we'll see what the playoff series are at by that point. They may be over, some they may be going on still. I have a feeling the Knicks and Pacers will be going on up until Game 7, but that's just my inside feeling on this way this series is going. I don't know. It depends what Minnesota does against the Thunder in Game 2. If the Thunder come away with that, I think it would be over in maybe 5 games. But if the Timberwolves can come away with a win, I think it sets them up for a little more of a chance in that series. And they played well in Game 1. They just weren't able to close it out. And it's just the Thunder, man. They're just one of those teams that it does. You can be beating them by 10 points, and 2 minutes later you look up and you're losing by like 8 points. It's just that type of team they are. Just a well-rounded, talented team. They can play 10 deep, and it's just going to be a challenge for anybody. But we'll talk about the Jets quickly here before we get into the Mets, and then end with the Knicks, just because the way the Mets are going right now, I think it's worth talking about because it was smooth sailing up until this weekend. But with the Jets, I know they're just doing like OTAs and stuff like that. But the one thing I did want to hit on was that perfect attendance so far for the 2 days or 2 or 3 days they've had these workouts, which is very good. I know it's a new coach, so maybe players are on they're on a little feeling it a little bit. It'd be like, oh, I had better show up. If everybody's going, I better be there. And it's not mandatory, which is good that all those guys are there because there's always a few guys who be like, oh, it's not mandatory. I'm this, I'm that. I don't need to be there. I think it's these are meaningful reps in the sense of like getting to learn who you're playing with, especially on offense. New quarterback, entirely new system, just based off of what you had from the last quarterback. Totally different players. So now these guys got to know, okay, so we have a quarterback that can scramble around if we need him to. So we're running our routes. We can't just stop and stand there because he could be the guy that runs around for a few extra seconds. You can get open for him, and that's a big play. I think these are the type of things. I mean, I may not do in practice right now, but you get to learn some tendencies of, oh, this is my receiver. He does this. This is my quarterback. He does this. Offensive line, I think something that the Jets haven't been able to do over the past, I don't even know, probably at least 5 years, probably longer, was having a consistent five offensive line that you know is going to start from the beginning, and also being able to practice together now in May. If in these past few years it feels like, oh yeah, they'll have four, three, maybe three, definitely three, maybe four guys practicing together, but they won't even be able to those four guys won't even be able to practice together until late August when we only have 2 or 3 weeks before the season starts. one year before that, yeah, we don't have our center until opening day, so we have to use our backup with the other starters. That's a problem, and I think that that's great that the Jets have their five guys that they want to go with right now. All young guys, recently drafted besides John Simpson. Every other guy was drafted in the top two rounds within the last 5 years, which I think is great. Homegrown guys that now you know where your O line is for a decent amount of future. I know it's going to be hard to keep every single one of them around, but if you can, that would be great. But now having those guys practice together, Jermaine Johnson being with the team, of course he can't practice yet, but he's on the side with the trainers, getting to be more involved, which is something we couldn't say last year, obviously because he was hurt. Will McDonald learning the scheme of Aaron Glenn, which I think will unlock him a little more on the pass rush side, because it seemed like with the old regime, Will McDonald, well, obviously he was great last year, but it seemed like he was a one-trick pony. I think with Glenn he can unlock some things. Secondary seems like it's got shored up a little more. I know they lost DJ Reed, which is a big loss, but I feel like the pieces they've added to it kind of made up for it. So that's great to see. So it feels like I know I'm not one of those fans this year that are high on the Jets at all. I know they may have the team chemistry and the camaraderie that you want for a team, but overall in the NFL, talent reigns supreme. You've seen that. Maybe the teams that don't get along the most, which is the perfect example. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. It didn't seem like they got along very much up until their playoff run. Throughout, even during the playoffs, honestly, with AJ Brown doing everything he was doing, doesn't seem like that in the NFL. It's one of those sports that talent does rise to the top. Obviously, it's something like NBA as one of those as well. But I feel a hockey, baseball type of thing, college sports. If you have that chemistry, you can go a long way with that. And we've seen a number of different times that happened. But in the NFL, it's usually talent, and I don't think the Jets have that much. I mean, I could be wrong. Justin Fields goes out there and plays terrific. Then it changes a lot of the narrative of this team because they haven't had a good quarterback play in a while. But he hasn't had success, and it hasn't been just 10 games. It's been a long time, and I feel that Fields has to show it obviously because if he hasn't shown it to his best ability of what he thinks, then it's not going to happen here, and then it'll be a long season. But hopefully they turn it around quickly. They have a surprise year, which I think that I don't think it's possible, but it could happen. Obviously, any team can go crazy. You saw what the Commanders did last year after having the worst team in football 2 years ago, up until what they did, going all the way to the NFC Championship. But with that being said, they'll start this episode after obviously what I just said with the Mets. They have definitely hit their first rough patch of the year, and it feels like to me that they haven't been able to adjust to it, which is not good. It's not a good sign. But from what we're hearing from the outside noise, obviously inside they're going to say, "Oh yeah, we're adjusting, we're doing this, we're doing that." But overall, just watching this team on a daily basis and look at their how they're going about themselves, like on the field and in the dugout, does not seem like the mood is the greatest right now. I'm not sure what happened, but it seems like a switch was flipped after the during and after this Yankees series. Because before that, I know they lost that last game against the Pirates, so that was just a rain. That game was a disaster from the beginning. Seemed like the vibes were really good, and then I don't know, maybe guys are pissed off the way Soto took the crowd in Yankee Stadium, or just his performance in general. It didn't seem like he was very interested at all, even from the beginning of that. Didn't seem like he was all invested into helping his team, which is the New York Mets now, and not the Yankees. But that's besides the point. Something new that he started. I know we'll go into Soto in a little bit, but something new he started. I don't know if this is new, but something I've seen. Waiting until like there's like 30 seconds left on the clock to run out to right field, so he's not even warming up, just going out there and doing his thing, which is a little weird. Never really seen that one before. I think it's more so to keep an eye on in the future, see if he keeps doing that. But he did do that in the Boston series as well, so not sure why that is the case. But they are still 30-20, so the sky is not falling. Um, I'm still all in on this team. I think they're way too talented to do anything of falling apart. Honestly, I really don't think that happens. They're going to get a little more healthier, hopefully, in the near future with some pitching guys. I know Blackburn's on his way back. I feel he's definitely a guy. I know he's not great, but he could definitely be needed for this uh, rotation. Just in terms of length, he'll go out there and give you 6 or 7 innings. He may get hit around a little bit, but he'll do the job. Which I think that I know McGill had whatever 10, 11 strikeouts against Boston, but he couldn't even get through the fifth inning. It's becoming a theme, and it's gotta it's you can't get that far into the season when your starters aren't going deep, and he's one of those guys right now. So Blackburn would definitely be someone that can step in there. 2-5 in the last 7 games. So I said that last Pirates game, and then the road trip they went 2-4. None of them are really blowouts. I know the first and the third game against the Yankees, it was just one inning really that screwed the whole game up. I think it was for the eighth inning in the Sunday night game, and then the first game was that inning when Lindor threw the ball in the dirt. Alonso tried to scoop it and went up over his head. Just a few little things. I feel like the defense needs to be shored up a little bit. Beatty's playing a terrific third base, so that's great. Someone I would continue to give reps to, especially if he's going to go up there and give you quality at bats. Obviously, you guys aren't going to go up there and get hits every single time, but it seems like he's doing the right thing every time he's given the opportunity to do that. And against the last game against the Red Sox, had 2 hits, 3 RBIs, led the team to a win, the much needed win. And right now, I would just keep rolling him, put his name down there, bottom of the lineup, no pressure at third base. Vientos is he's not doing great. And I feel when your team hits a rough patch, Mendoza did it perfect. I like what he did. Um, all right, Nemo's not really performing. We have a lefty against us. We're gonna put him on the bench. We're gonna go with guys that maybe Marte isn't really playing great either, but at least his at bats may have been a little better more recently, which I may not agree with. But Mendoza said that he liked his at bats more recently. I know he had a hit against Chapman in the first game. Again, of course, Chapman's a lefty, so that wasn't something that shocked me. He wasn't afraid to put Marte on the field. Hasn't been afraid to put Beatty at third. He loves Acuna in the lineup, something that maybe is has ticked off a few of the veterans, maybe like McNeil or a few other guys. But I think that's what you got to do, especially when your team is not playing at its greatest. You got to shake it up a little bit. You can't go out there with the same 9 guys in the same spots if they're not going to get it done. Soto was moved down to third. I don't really know if that's going to make a difference or not. His first 2 at bats, first 3 at bats, he struck out, but the first 2 at bats yesterday seemed completely disinterested. Didn't swing the bat. I know this is feeling more and more like I don't want to compare it to that, but like the Aaron Rodgers didn't seem too interested, and it was very early in the tenure. I know Rodgers was injured, so it was a different thing, but I mean, if I'm Soto, and I don't understand what like if you have an issue, like I mean, it's no one else's fault but yours. You're the one that chose to come to this team. They're having success. They're not losing. Like I don't understand if there is a problem. I don't really understand it. The hustle. He said he was hustling when he definitely was not hustling. Your manager calls you out. It's Mendoza's way of doing it. He said I will talk to him about it because Mendoza's not going to sit there and say no he was hustling because he knows he's going to sound like a fool. That's what I like about him. And Soto's like, oh, I was hustling. You got to take it, man. You got to take what's coming at you. If you're not hustling, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. You got to be able to own it. And I'm not sure what the problem is, but it's whatever. I mean, we'll see what happens with Soto in the future, and hopefully he can turn it around because this team being 10 games over 500, and if you look at Soto's numbers right now, it says that this team has a lot more room to grow, and we'll see what happens. But another thing I wanted to add on with the lineup change, honestly, Lindor has been good all year, and it feels like he gets on base, and then Soto not being great hasn't done anything with that. So if you put Soto third, maybe another guy can get on base. I know I saw a few things with Acuna batting second. I wouldn't do that just yet. Honestly, McNeil's had good at bats. I know it's not really 3 lefties in a row, but it depends on the situation. Why not put McNeil in there in the 2 hole? I know he's had good at bats. Hasn't batted second in a long time. I mean, I definitely wouldn't go with Marte again. I feel Vientos is better suited for fifth just because he can drive in runs, makes the lineup a little deeper. We'll see what happens, but I think McNeil could definitely get the nod. I know not Friday night against the Dodgers because Kershaw is pitching, but if a righty's in there, I definitely would consider going maybe with McNeil and then see what happens with that. And then honestly, if Soto can hit again, yeah, move him back up to second. But he hasn't done anything to warrant himself being comfortable in a certain spot because he hasn't hit there. You switch it up, but they end the month with a 9 game homestand. They got the Dodgers this weekend for 3, Rockies and White Sox. Those have to be against the Rockies and the White Sox. You have to win at least 5 out of 6, at least. 2 sweeps obviously is great, but it's hard to win every single game. But if you win 5 out of 6 against them, then you're sitting at 35 and 21, and then the Dodgers series, see what happens. Dodgers haven't played too great either recently, and I feel the Mets they've been really good at home. I think I don't even know. They may only have like 4 or 5 losses at home. They're playing good baseball at home, so hopefully they can go on the weekend. I know they got the bright lights on them pretty much every night. Apple TV, Fox, and ESPN. Got to turn it around. Soto's going to be a big topic there the entire weekend, and we'll go from there. But I don't really think there's that many issues. The one thing that annoyed me, and I made it known, was just him not Soto not hustling the first base multiple times, and him saying that he did. That doesn't. It's not going to fly here. And it's someone that played for the Yankees last year. I know he didn't have any of these moments, but someone he should understand learning from teammates and stuff like that. It's not going to fly. So you got to own up to it. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you got to come up and be like, yeah, I wasn't hustling. I cost myself a double. I did this, I did that. Maybe could have made the infielder bobble the ball, throw it away. I got to own up to that. And well, hopefully he learns from that, and we'll go from there. But now we're going to the Knicks. Lost a heartbreaking game one against the Pacers. They had a huge lead at the end of the game. I think it was 14 points or 17 points with under 3 minutes to play, and that one went to nothing. They lost that. Went to overtime and then had a shot at tying it up to send it to double overtime. Brunson missed a three, got a Josh Hart insane rebound, got it back out to Cat. He missed as well. Then Bridges was fighting for it, just time ran out. He lost it out of bounds or whatever. I'm taking a positive to this. I think that they played absolutely great up until the last 2 minutes of that game, 3 minutes of that game. Dominated. They literally scored at will. They could have scored 200 points last night. They just obviously you missed shots, but they got any shot they wanted. Every guy that was in there was putting points up on the board. Cat played great. I think he's going to play great this whole series. They don't have anybody that really can stop him. I know Miles Turner is guarding him, but Miles Turner is not really known for his defense, and they really don't have another big man that can go in there and be physical with him. Um, I think Cat's going to be great. Brunson, of course, was terrific. 40-something points. He's going to do his thing. Bridges had a good start, kind of faded out the rest of the game. I think he's going to be fine. Excuse me, right there. Josh Hart, another guy, he's gonna be okay. The starting five's good. I love how the bench they put up good numbers last night. Mitch Rob is just insane on the offensive glass. Deuce McBride nailing shots. Campaign played sporadically, but he did his job for the most part. After a rocky start. Who else? Delon Wright came in for 24 seconds. He did what he had to do. So these guys came in off the bench and they played good. I know in the second quarter it gave Brunson an extended rest and it looked like he picked up some steam after that, after maybe being a little tired. And that's not something Tibbs has went to at all in the playoffs, really, for the most part. But if those bench guys are going to play well, Tibbs got to be able to extend the leash, extend the leash. They got to go a little more because you know the Pacers, they play a lot of guys. They switch out quickly. That's one thing. You can play 8 or 9 guys and only play them for a little amount of time going into the second quarter, say in the first half, and then never see the court again. The Pacers use these 9 guys consistently throughout the entire game, and not one starter plays that many minutes because they have all these guys, and it keeps them fresh. And I think that's why they've played so well in this postseason in the second half and come back, I think, 4 or 5 times. 4 or 5 of their wins have been comebacks like this because they're able to outlast the team. But I don't think this was the case. I just think the Knicks got a little too lax and they kind of just let it go. The lead just slip away and whatever. Weren't guarding up on those three. But you knew the Pacers were shooting threes. You got to go out there and guard it. They weren't able to do that, but it is what it is. I think game two, they go out there and they play well. They have to win game two, obviously. I mean, you can't afford to lose game two after losing game one at home. Win game two, you do what you have to do on the road. I don't know. I think they could go out there and win both on the road. If not, you split, and you're up 2-2, best of three. Best of three. 2-2 series after that, and then you go from there. You see what happens. But we'll see. We'll see what the Knicks can do. But I think this is destined for a 7-game series. You could just feel the way it was going last night. Halliburton make a crazy shot. These guys just matching. The first quarter, I think both teams made their first 5 or 6 shots, and then the Pacers kept going. I was like, Jesus, they got to keep making all these shots. But just one last thing I wanted to say. Just overall for the next season, I think that this won't end in a great success if they don't win this series, honestly, because this is a team that they're definitely better than on paper. Obviously, the Pacers have been great and all that, but they're finally healthy. I know last year has nothing to do with this year, but the next team played 7 games against the Pacers last year. We're not healthy. This year they're fully healthy. they got to win this. And then they get to the final. Say they get to the finals and lose, I'd be like, oh yeah, we're disappointed, but they got there. That's a difference, and we'll see what happens with that. But episode 43 is over. I just want to thank everyone once again for supporting the Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all that stuff. It's going to start hopefully getting more and more growing. Episode 44 next week with CT will be later in the week. We'll talk, obviously, Mets and Yankees, and then some basketball as well. I just want to get his insight on a few different things involving the NBA, of course, in the playoffs, and maybe some things in the future. And then the week after that, first week of June, we'll be live. Date and time will be announced next week, most likely end of next week, just depending on what happens with the NBA playoffs. I know Game 7 and the Knicks and Pacers would be that Monday, June 2nd, and I think the West would be over the night before that. So we want to make sure both of those are over before we have our first show and have a lot of fun with that. But episode 43 is over. JD out.